This is Paul Wilson.
And Chris Searle.
And you're listening to Diesel Performance Podcast. We are recording from home this week. As with much of America, we've been asked to leave the office if at all possible. So Chris and I both are fortunate enough to have jobs where that is possible, thanks to technology. And we are recording today's episode. Well, I'm in my garage. Where are you at, Chris?
Yeah, I'm in my home office, which wasn't a thing a week ago. So, it's definitely, we have to keep in mind that almost all of America is in this, one way, shape, or form. So, everyone has to kind of comply and make sure that we're doing what we can to get this virus to settle. In the meantime, I'm cooped up in my house, so I'm excited, real excited.
Yeah. If you're not one of the guys who gets to work from home, hey, we say thank you, man. Thanks for going out there, and thanks for working in a facility right now. And if you are stuck at home or furloughed or laid off right now, thanks for listening. We really appreciate you guys stopping in. We will do everything we can to keep this show COVID-19 free. So does that mean we're going to completely ignore the world around us? Of course not. We may mention it from time to time if it directly impacts that topic. But other than that, we will do everything we can to make this one of the places you can go to escape from some of the bullshit going on right now with the coronavirus.
Yeah, and we're planning on we're going to ramp up some of our production stuff, aren't we, Paul?
That's right, man. That's right. So generally, this is a once-a-week show. If you're an OG fan, you might remember way back in the day, we used to do multiple episodes in a week. We're going to get back to that. We have the time, resources, and technology available to start going back to a twice-a-week publishing schedule. With that being said, we don't want to just pump out a bunch of crap. We want you guys to have great episodes filled with excellent content, talking about stuff you care about. So we have some different ideas of how to kind of help expand our show. And hey, guys, if you have ideas, jump on our Facebook group or jump on our Facebook page and share your thoughts. We'd love to hear back from you. But one of the things we are going to do more regularly is spinning our Diesel Insights videos from the Duramax Tuner YouTube channel into audio episodes for the podcast. I think the last one we did about the EGR went really, really well. I thought it was clear and concise. I know I got good feedback from listeners. So we're gonna keep trying to do that to help fill in and give you guys more stuff to learn about diesel. We'll also be doing some more interviews, and we'll have some running segments from some of the experts at Calibrated Power, home of Duramax Tuner. So we're excited for things like that.
Yeah. Now, enough about all that new stuff. There's some new stuff that the guys over at WC Fab have going on, don't they, Paul?
Hey, man, nothing holds those guys back. Looks like they got a new 2017 to 2019 L5P Duramax 4-inch full intake. This is a high-flow fabricated aluminum intake pipe and airbox enclosure with dry filter assembly that replaces the restrictive plastic factory parts on your diesel for improved engine performance. Significantly increases airflow from your turbo, producing improved horsepower and torque, quicker throttle response, and cooler intake temperatures by drawing cold air in through your truck's hood ram air duct and inner fender. The all-aluminum construction features large diameter 4-inch piping with smooth aerodynamic bends to improve intake air velocity, volume, and provide more aggressive engine and turbo sound during acceleration. The critical ram air duct seal has been moved to the bottom of the hood for a clean engine compartment appearance. Full assembly finished in your choice of WC Fab's signature custom powder coat colors for a look as unique as your truck.
I'll tell you, if you look at the WC Fab, Facebook page and some of the mailers that they're sending out, they have this hybrid blue color that's out that they have the product picture shown in, and man, does it look good.
So nasty. I love that blue.
Yeah, no, it's a good looking kit. So they say it's not compatible with the 4-inch intake resonator pipe or other aftermarket intake parts. So if you guys have any questions in regards to the installation or what will work with your truck, give the guys over at WC Fab a call or go look on their website at wcfab.com.
That's right. Shoot Jason and the boys a message on their Facebook page. Let them know you heard about this new part here on the podcast. We really appreciate that, and that keeps the show going. Chris, speaking of new parts, we just launched a week ago now Cummins Easy Link tuning for the 2019 Ram. I can't believe it. It's been such a long time coming. Let's hear you talk a little bit about it. This is kind of your baby.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of similarities, going from the 2019 into the 2013 to 2018 trucks as far as the 68s are concerned. If some of the guys out there opted to get the HO motor, significantly more horsepower and torque from the factory, what are we offering? The guys over at Calibrated ourselves, we're able to offer better throttle response, improved drivability, broader torque curves, higher horsepower and torque output, of course, but more or less just trying to refine that drivability aspect for the guys that have 68 RFE transmissions, full transmission, shift scheduling improvement, line pressure controls, and improved converter unlock and locking processes. With the EasyLink, you're going to get 4 different power levels. And then if you have the 68 RFE, there is trans tuning available. And if you have the ASIN, we're still working on a couple things. It's just not yet ready. But yeah, no, we're really excited to go live with EasyLink support. This has been one of those things that guys have been asking for a very long time. And we figured, with the introduction of the 19, we might as well group in the 13 to 18 trucks. They've been a very popular platform for us over the years. So we're proud to announce it.
Absolutely. I know this is one that I've been getting a ton of guys hitting us up about it. People love the EasyLink hardware. They love the interface and how EasyLink works. They love using their phone as gauges. They just needed to be able to get the tuning on it for their Cummins, right? So putting that 13 to 19, those CMEs all together in one shot, I think made a lot of sense. The ASIN, I have a ton of guys ask me, Chris, I have an ASIN. Does Calibrated Power offer ASIN tuning?
Yeah, so there's some stuff going on, some R&D, some talk and whatnot. So I think it's going to be coming here, in the not so distant future. So you heard it here, on the podcast, of course. So there's some exciting things, some different platforms, some updates, some, things that were supported that weren't necessarily supported prior. And I think that's going to be one of those, icebreakers, if you will. But as of right now, there is no ASIN support. Flip side of that, with the tuning that is available, we are going to be able to help with some of the defuel settings, help with some of the gear transitioning, just to make those transmissions be a little bit more friendly as far as what the end user feels.
Absolutely. All right, guys. One last thing before we jump into today's special guest. We just wanted to give a shout out to the boys at Exergy Performance, always providing us with the top quality, high pressure fuel system components. One of the things I guess I always forget that Exergy does extremely well is also harnesses for like a standalone Bosch ECM system. Controller. Yeah, absolutely. It's really cool as you start to dig in to see how these things work, how they work together. If anybody was walking around UCC last year, you definitely got a chance to walk by the engine stand with the big old hand throttle on it and heard them fire it up a few different times throughout the day. Their engine harnesses for the standalone ECU or standalone controller is phenomenal. It looks like a factory-made component. You really wouldn't know that it was made at an aftermarket company, and that's what their design is. That's what their engineering is all about, is making sure that these things are perfect, they fit in place, and they work exactly how they're supposed to every single time. Speaking of things that we can rely on, one of the things we can rely on this industry is that if the UCC exists, it's happening. And guys, it's 2020. The UCC still exists. So without any further ado, let's kick it over to our special guest today. This has been presented by Calibrated Power. We have Chris Searle from Ultimate Callout Challenge and Diesel Performance Industry Expo. All right, guys, and now it's time for your favorite part of the show. We have Chris Searle on from Diesel Performance Industry Expo and Ultimate Callout Challenge. Chris, how the hell are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely. We're excited to get you on, guys. I know we're missing Chris Emke for this portion of the interview. Honestly, it's just easier not having two Chris's on the phone at the same time. No, not really. Not really. Chris is working. They're very, very busy on the phones. Duramax Tuner Calibrated Power is still open. So if you need something or need help, those guys are actually working remotely and they're taking care of business as best they can. I know this is a little crazy for everyone. So as I said at the top of the show, we're going to address some of the news events and the coronavirus and COVID-19 stuff going on, but we're not going to dive deep into it. That's not at all what our show is about. We're here for awesome guests like Chris to explain what's going on with UCC. And to get us started, Chris, why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience and your background with UCC and DPI Expo?
Sure. So I have been with James Brendel, who started the UCC back in 2016. I've been with him since we started the event back then and held it out in Salt Lake. After that kind of viral success that we had, and we decided to see if we could make it a little bit bigger, do something a little bit different. We added on the DPI Expo, and I came around and started working with him full time on it. And so my part of it is I do the majority of the marketing and the show setup and vendor setup and stuff like that.
Okay, awesome. I know as a vendor with the podcast and of course also with Calibrated Power, the show has gotten better every year. It's gotten more organized. It's gotten easier to find things. We also have a lot more excitement and awesome stuff always going on. So today we're definitely going to talk about that. And we're going to dive into kind of some of the nitty gritty about even what are some of the rule changes and event changes from year over year. But first, just for anybody who's brand new to the show, give us a quick rundown. What is Ultimate Callout Challenge? What is the Diesel Performance Industry Expo?
So what the Ultimate Callout Challenge is that we bring the 30 biggest, baddest diesel competitors together over a weekend, and the same truck and team has to compete in 3 different mediums. So basically a truck triathlon. So the same truck has to drag race the first day, dyno the second day, and then they sled pull the third day, and they compete in each event for the top 3 spots, but they're also competing for the top 5 overall spots of the event. The DPI Expo is, it's pretty much exactly what it says. It is the diesel industry all coming together. We have around 150 diesel industry vendors, all the way from WDs down to online retailers, and all the manufacturers in between. And it's one of those great experiences for the diesel fans because they can actually come out and talk to a lot of the engineers that are building the different products and, actually get a hands-on experience talking with
Absolutely. And again, I've been on both sides of the fence with this. So I've gone to UCC as just a podcaster and just to walk around and have fun and enjoy the expo. And what I always say is you'll never find this large of a group of diesel industry experts in one place at one time. This is it. This is the only time this much knowledge about diesel performance gets together at the same place. And I think that's something that really makes this expo very, very different than, say, like a vendor alley at a lot of the other shows that go on throughout the year.
Yeah, and that's what we've really tried to do with it. I mean, the size of the show has grown immensely, and, we're very grateful for that. And it is interesting each year. I do have to turn down 20 or so vendors that, call me up and I'm like, well, what do you do? Well, we have, gutter-proof rain guttering or clutter-proof rain guttering, or we sell lights for houses. I'm like, yeah, well, we'll buy a space. Tell us how much. It's like, no, I'm sure you'll buy a spot, but that's not what we're creating here. So it is funny, but I do get those calls.
Good. That's good. It's good to know that it's not maybe necessarily exclusive. It's focused. Right? Because we do get a wide range of people. I mean, like you said, all the way from the biggest distributors and wholesale distributors and online retailers in the country, all the way down to small mom and pop shops that got a stand and got a booth and they got maybe a smaller project going on or a smaller kind of array of a catalog. But they're still there, man. And it's awesome to be able to see them and connect with them and learn more about what their operation is.
Yeah, and we like it too because it also feels less cluttered. You know what I mean? Like, you're there for a reason. You're not there to find out about a home security system. You're there to talk about diesel, and you're there to enjoy diesel.
I dig it. Okay, obviously, guys, we know you just posted today a pretty big Facebook announcement. The event is getting postponed until July 10th, July 12th weekend. personally, I totally understand. I just want you to talk a little bit about it and just kind of address this if you could for our listeners.
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to. So we actually started looking into this about a week ago when Trump made his first speech. And, because there's a lot of small wills and little things that go into putting an event on of this size. At that time, we had no intentions of moving it, but we obviously wanted to be proactive rather than reactive with it. So we started, talking with the track. We started talking with the sled pull company we have out. We started watching, obviously, everything that was going on each day, almost hour by hour, with the country, and decisions that were being made, and obviously what the CDC was suggesting. And, ultimately, over the last couple of weeks with, the closing of the Canadian-U.S. border. We have a lot of fans that come down from Canada for the UCC. We have competitors from Canada that come down. We have certain vendors that companies put travel restrictions on their employees that they couldn't travel till May 1st. Then it even trickled down. I mean, those are big things that everybody knows about, but then it even trickled down to stuff like, to prepare for the event, I have to have event shirts printed. I have to have wristbands done. I have to have a program printed. And just a lot of the distributors and vendors, even on outside of the diesel industry, were not able to meet the deadline that we would need to prepare for the show by the 1st. And then, it ultimately just came down to, as much as the last, 2 weeks has really disrupted the lives of everybody, we just felt we needed to find a way to give there some time to get some normality back to everybody's life and everybody's schedule. So it wasn't an easy decision. It obviously doesn't lighten the workload in any way. And, we're disappointed we can't do it the day we did, but we feel that this is the best alternate to it. So
sure. And it's understandable. As of literally half an hour ago, there's more and more announcements going on where you guys had to make the decision, I think maybe even before it was made for you at some point, with what we're seeing going on in the news today. So it's good to know that you guys have been working on this. You guys have been planning for it. You guys have been preparing for it as much as possible. And nobody knew where this was going to go or how this was going to happen. Right.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you would have been talking to me last Friday, which we initially were going to talk,
sure.
I would be like, no, we're full forward. We're moving forward. I'm doing everything I can here. I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off. And then, Monday rolls around and I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off for completely different reasons, you know? So, but yeah, we know that, like I said, that everything that's going on now, there's so much going on. You just can't even pinpoint one. We just really wanted to make sure that we could still do the event for the fans, for the vendors, for everyone. We just wanted to, and make it as big and as great as it has been in years past. But we also wanted to be sensitive to everything that's going on in everybody's lives right now as well.
Sure. No, absolutely. Okay. Well, enough about that, because now that we know we're going to get a 2020 UCC DPI Expo, as of today, what are some of the things that we were going to talk about anyways before any of this was going on? Is what are some of the rule changes or what are some of the expo changes from 2019 to 2020? So can you maybe start off with the event itself? Obviously, it's still the triathlon. We still got to see the drag race and we got to see the sled pulling. We got to see the dyno. What's new?
Mm-hmm. Well, there aren't actually a lot of new rule changes this year. There are two big ones. Obviously, after last year and Tony and Dirty Hook are up on the dyno, it is now required to wear fire suits on the dyno. That actually wasn't a written rule. It was optional for the drivers. Moving forward this year, it is not optional. They now have to wear fire suits while even dynoing.
Well played.
The other thing we changed, and just so everybody knows how we change our rules, is the top 10 UCC finishers get to vote on any rule changes that are made. And they get to vote if something is not done the following year. So I just want people to know that we actually really talk to the competitors and find out how to make this competition even better for them and make it more exciting for the fans. one of the changes we went back to, so last year we did head-to-head racing between the UCC competitors. We brought that to the vote to the competitors. They have decided for 2020, they want to go back and be able to have as many opportunities to put down their fastest time that they can. They didn't like the head-to-head. They liked battling against themselves and watching what everybody else did. And then if someone beat their number, going back and hitting it again. So those are really the two main rule changes that were made this year that are different from previous years.
Okay. What prompted that second rule change?
That was just so on all the rules, the UCC competitors get to make suggestions of what they want to see changed. And once those suggestions come in, we send out an email to the top 10 and then they're voted on. So it was a suggestion by the competitors that they wanted to go back to it. And then when it was voted on, that's how the vote came out.
I love it. I love that it's a competitor controlled event. Usually there's this big sanctioning body and all of this other kind of infrastructure around writing down every little minute and second of how one of these events will go. What's cool here is that it's really up to the guys who are participating in it and the guys who are killing it. Cause we know that there's a massive sacrifice that goes into being a competitor in this event and participating in this event at such a top level. What are you excited to see this year? Who are some of the competitors you really got your eye out for?
Oh man, that is tough.
Are you calling Derek Rose for the repeat?
Well, I have always been, and you can go back to past podcasts, that Derek has always been my dark pony for years and years and years. So you can go back to 17 when you were asking me, do you think Levon's going to take it? And you will find a recording of me saying, what, I really feel that Derek Rose is the dark pony and he's going to come by anytime. I definitely think Derek Rose is still the man to beat, but there is such amazing competition. I don't know everything that the team up at Dirty Hooker's doing, but I've got this feeling in my stomach that Tony and his team are really coming back to make a statement. I saw the guys from Power Driven Diesel out at ATS's event. Their truck's a monster. If they can keep it together, it's in the running. You still have your Sean Baca. You still have Chris. You still have, and I'd say Chris's last name, but I'll destroy it. But with Truck Source Diesel, you got Wayne Mentor. You've got a lot of those. But in addition to that, we have a lot of the qualifiers from last year that are rookies. We have a larger rookie cast this year than we have. We wanted to do that just to get some fresh blood in there. But, if you actually go to the UCC site and look at their scores of what they put down, there was 4 qualifiers that were in the top 10 of the UCC last year by their points.
Yeah.
And one of the 5th ones, the only reason why he wasn't in there is he had a problem on the dyno and only put down 400 horsepower, which just lowered his points, but everything else was there. So, and they're hungry, so I don't know. I've got a really good feeling about 2020. I think it's going to be very competitive, very close. But like I said, I can't be partial because I'm a promoter, but Derek Rose and his team has always been my dark pony. So I guess I'll have to leave it there.
Hard to beat D Rose, man. No lie there. I think drag racing is going to be a big deal this year. It's always been a big deal. I shouldn't downplay that at all. But I think that's going to be a lot of the make or break on who comes out of this alive and who comes out of this at the top. So I always love to see drag racing on the first day, because even though it sets the pace for the whole show, it puts so much pressure on day 2, right? Like now, if you didn't kill it, if you're not in the top 3 on drag racing, now when it comes to the dyno, it's just all on the table. It's just the only way to stay in this competition through 3 days is to literally come at that dyno with everything you got and just pray it stays together. And we've seen how that goes, good and bad. Yeah. You have your highlights and your lows with it, but I 100%. And then sled pull. I think sled pull has always been this thing of like, it's the hook. it's when it's the punchline of the joke, right? Because you have these guys who generally we've seen winners come out of drag racing. That's who's won all of UCC, and we see the same thing in most other triathlon type competitions because it's such a competitive segment, right? Like if you're good at drag racing, you could wing it at sled pulling, and that's not to downplay sled pulling, but it's true. It's true. You could get enough advice to go out there and sled pull for your 4th time ever. And do pretty good. May not be the best of you could ever be, but pretty good. So I think it's always fun to see that kind of all out or nothing when it comes down to those two events. It really, I think that's what makes the show for me every year. How about the expo?
Well, and you're sorry. Part of the other thing you say with that, I agree with you on the dyno thing, but then you start looking at the people that are drag racing and putting down good numbers. You're talking Derek Rose, who can definitely still sled pull. You're talking the power driven team that can drag race and still sled pull. And what Tony and his team's building, over the last couple of years, we've watched that last minute hooker get better and better on the drag strip. So you're seeing that I agree with what you're saying, but I think you're seeing that also narrow a little bit where they are, it's hard to say they're not as green as they used to be, shall we say.
I wildly agree with you. 100%. Yes. The rising level of competition, because the guys who maybe 3 years ago had only sled pulled twice have now gone out and tried it. And the guys who have maybe drag raced only a handful of times, like Tony, are now out drag racing. I saw him posting throughout the summer about it. I think people are taking it seriously. I think people are not only building a truck for this event, but building experience for this event. And that's only going to be better for the fans. It's only going to be better for the industry, right? This is something I think that'll really kick off summer in a really big way for all of us who are into diesel. I think this is it. But I did want to touch on the expo a little bit because again, the expo is where I see a ton of cool shit going on. Who's at the expo? What's going on at the expo? What should people be looking for?
Well, the one thing that we have really started to focus on is we want to figure out how to bring more fan participation to the expo and to the UCC. The UCC is just the exclusive thing. So how do we incorporate more fans into the experience there? So we have a lot of our vendors coming back again that we've seen in years past. Obviously Alligator, Amsoil, Edge, you name it, they're here. We have some new ones coming in. Renegade, Renegade, they do cleaning products. I can't think of their full name. Sorry, brain fart. So we have a lot of new companies coming in. In addition to that, at the show this year, we've actually teamed up with Kenny Hawk and Hawk Designs and Village Customs, and he's doing a 14-part Amazon series on those two companies are doing a diesel truck rat rod build off, and they're going to unveil those two vehicles actually at the UCC. For the fans. In addition, we still have our Amsoil Show and Shine, which we actually have increased the space, and we're looking at getting about 300 trucks. In addition, we actually opened up, because it's so popular in the diesel industry, we actually have a side-by-side category in the Show and Shine this year. And one of the things we haven't really pushed, and you try to do everything and get too many plates spinning, but we actually on Friday are opening up the UCC dyno to the fans and having a fuel only and an unlimited class dyno event on Friday while the UCC competitors are drag racing. Yes. Our hope is that the fans embrace it, because what we'd like to do is in 2021, we'll open it up to all the classes and have a full dyno event for the fans. And the dyno will be in the exact same spot that it is for the UCC competitors. So they'll be right next to the drag strip, so the fans can watch, fans can watch the fans dyno in, they can watch the UCC. And then, last year we did the Quick 8 with ODSS. This year we have a full day of drag racing with ODSS on Saturday. All their pro classes, it's actually a point series. The UCC is this year. And I'll be honest with you, we have some even greater ideas for 2021, because, to put on an event of this size, I already have my notes of what we need to start looking for 2021 and moving forward. So
Man, am I excited. Well, Chris, I thank you so much for taking your time to talk to us and letting our listeners know all of the cool stuff that's going on. It is unfortunate we had to push the date back, but it sounds like it's going to be well worth the wait. Any final thoughts or anything you want to say to our listeners?
I just want to say thank you to all our fans, all the competitors, all of the sponsors that come out. It's just amazing to see how the industry, how the fans have embraced this event, and we are just so thankful for that and their support and their understanding. So a huge thank you from all of us here at the UCC and DPI Expo.
Well said. Guys, for today, this has been Paul Wilson. Thanks for listening.